Hello and welcome to Class L Pro Voyager Edition.
Hello.
With your keen minds, you might say, Devin and Dave, aka Plain Simple Tailors, and Adam Woodward, as always, on this show.
Some delightful L cars happening behind you there.
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
man.
look at that. There is
That's
a
awesome.
behind Adam there.
Woo.
He's on
Running
the bridge.
a diagnostic, I see.
So we're going to talk about some of the finer points of Voyager and see what we get into here. Your guys' kind of play off of each other a little bit, so maybe we'll do those first.
Hey guys, can I ask you a question before we get started?
Yeah.
Just on
We've
never really talked about Voyager together, and I just wondered, what was your out of all the series and all the movies and everything, like where does it fit for you guys?
It fits behind other shows for me, but I still get the feeling that in our group of reviewers here at Live Long and Podcast, that I seem to like it the best. I get the feeling. I like Voyager a lot. I think it's very strong. I think Janeway's great. I think most of the cast is really good. It's hampered by certain, things, of course, being in the Delta Quadrant. So a lot of ship or alien of the week stuff, but a lot of that stuff's really fun. Like the Voth, that was great. That was an alien of the week thing, but that was really cool. Okay, that's where it ranks for me. But behind DS9 and behind TNG.
I mean, for me, I think I see Voyager in the original series as birds very much of a feather. Because the original series very much has an alien or problem of the week or planet of the week. It's very episodic. There are some things that build, and I think and Voyager does that in a way that's much stronger than the original series, and I think can only have occurred after Deep Space Nine. All those successes they had with building that huge serialized plot, they could do some of with Voyager, but also really capitalize on the fact that it's a spaceship going out into the sort of great, totally unknown. And so I think it had a huge number of strengths that way. A great number of cast strengths. One of the places I found that Voyager had troubles with was some of the supporting characters being sufficiently developed. But I think that's an ever present challenge on large ensemble cast sort of programs, right? But yeah, I really enjoyed Voyager. It's and part of the place where I see it really similar to the original series is that it's got really high highs and really low lows. It's got absolutely brilliant episodes, and then there are lizards.
Hey, that was great for about 25 minutes.
Well, and even there, right? But you get like the whole Krenim time ship thing, and a whole batch of wonderful, wonderful episodes in that series. But yeah, I think it's to me, its closest relative is the original series.
That's interesting. I think I would probably disagree with one point you made. I think the characters actually developed quite a bit in Voyager. Certainly more so than like the original series or TNG, I think.
I know I'd agree with you on that. And I think that's, again, in the sort of wake of DS9, they're all doing it a little bit more. And that's probably fair to say. Maybe I just expect more of it after Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, well, they could have gone a lot deeper, certainly. What about you, Adam?
So, so we had finished Next Gen when in 1994.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And then it was big pause right between this and then Deep Space Nine started in 93 or no?
Like 90. No. Like Worf came in season 4, so it's like it started 3 years before TNG ended.
Really?
No, I think it was 93. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But and then so I didn't love Deep Space Nine. You guys know this off the bat. I found it like I don't like being in one place all the time. I just found it. But you know what? During the rewatch, I enjoyed it much more than I did back then. Now, Voyager for me was back in space. Let's do something. I thought it started extremely strong. Because, I mean, man, now you're comparing against Deep Space Nine, you're comparing against original series, and you're comparing against Next Gen, which was the pinnacle at that time. And I thought, like, how they ended up in the Delta Quadrant and the Maquis relationship was great. I thought that was cool and neat dynamic to the crew, which you hadn't seen before, but they were forced together. So I liked it initially, but I think by the time fourth season came and Worf showed up. Oh, sorry, you're talking about Deep Space Nine, but just I was at Star Trek out.
7 showed up.
Yeah, 7 showed up. I was just Star Trek out. I needed a break, and I never finished Voyager at the time, and I have since. And because I mean that was a lot of Star Trek at that time, like and some of it good, and Dave, you called it, some of it really bad.
That's why Enterprise had troubles. People were pretty Star Trek out by the time Enterprise.
Yeah, and that's pretty fair to say. Yeah.
But
I mean, I wasn't one of them. I wasn't Star Trek out at the time because,
I mean, but by the time that this had, because back then City TV was running like basically 2 hours of Star Trek every night. And, we were watching
Space was doing it, and so was it. I forget what Spike or one of the channels out of the States that was on cable was running the same.
But anyway, I love the premise. I mean, it was basically Lost in Space, but it was good. Great. I like the captain. Janeway was very, very good. And I like I said, the first episode it got me right away. So I enjoyed it.
I'd go so far as to say Voyager has the best first 2 seasons of any of the series. Pretty confidently, I'd say that actually. Season 2 of Voyager is especially good.
Well, I mean, measuring against season 1 of the other shows that had come before it, it's got a very strong season 1. That's a really interesting point.
Because I love the other Star Trek series. DS9 is my favorite and everything, but DS9 TNG, the best first 2 seasons.
Well, I mean, Deep Space Nine was going up against the best of Next Gen too. I mean, when they launched, I mean, everybody's got Next Gen in their mind and going, how are they going to do anything? So they did a great job. Again, they did it completely different than everything else. Make it stationary, make it very confrontational, very dark.
No, it is. It goes to the darkest darks. Like people think DS9's the dark one. I don't know if that's true. Maybe in some ways, but man, Voyager gets pretty dark. Like when Janeway just locks herself in a room for months because she's depressed. Like that's pretty dark shit.
Pulls a Howard Hughes, man. She's there. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that you think about season, like the third to last season with Deep Space Nine was really dark. And anyway, I was just curious because we'd never talked about this. We've really never done anything with the Voyager in this channel. So
I'm kind of antsy for the Voyager review series on this network. I kind of just
thanks for asking it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into.
So which program are we launching first here?
Adams. Well, hold on.
No, let's do another one first, okay?
Yeah?
I gotta get. That was like I've been physical at work all day. I gotta get in my mind, and I don't want to defend.
All right, let's launch a probe. All right, well, let's start with mine then. Yeah. All right. B'Elanna's programming of the Doctor's holographic daughter to die was the right thing to do. Now, I think the reason I picked this one is this was a question I brought to Debate 9, and I think it's my favorite debate ever in the history of the show of Debate 9. Jeff Aiken and Dave here went right at it on this one, and it was fantastic. It showed up in the best ofs during the Christmas season.
Wow, right.
But yeah, you guys covered most of it, but maybe we should just talk about it anyway. So do you remember this, Adam?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
where you guys kind of left it, I mean, we could probably just fast forward there a little bit, but
Yeah, why don't you take off, Dave? Because I'm curious what you had to say on this one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Why don't you
oh
then?
man. I mean, it's one of those episodes that, and I don't know if this is going to reflect my thoughts at the time because
That's fine.
we're always moving creatures.
You're on the
but
spot on that show too. So.
the brutality of that experience of loss. That's a very interesting point.
We can make that distinction because that doesn't really change my opinion on the whole thing. But World Mind says,
so she
didn't program her to die. She programmed it. Assumedly, she'd programmed a random scenario that allows for such a thing to happen.
Well, and in that sense,
you would at least know that.
She's saying essentially take the safeties off for the holograms in that respect, right? And in one way, it builds on that wonderful statement of Vic Fontaine's, right? That the band might quit, and they answer, "Well, they're holograms." And he says, "Well, they don't know that.
They don't know that."
Which, when Vic says it, is absolutely hilarious. And in this context,
or Moriarty,
or
Moriarty,
yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Where he gets to have that sort of hollow drive that he lives in for some long time until, he meets up with the crew of the Cerritos.
It's like
problem
is tragic version of that. It's not funny.
Right. And like the brutal, tragic part of that is facing the Doctor with an experience that as a hologram he might never needed to have had, but he literally asks for a family. Right? The trouble is
a real one.
Right, and it's very much a Pandora's box story in that sense, right? Like, if you want it, be careful what you're asking for, because there are all of these other entailments and implications and uncontrollable possibilities that come out of being entangled with the reality of other things that are philosophically ends in themselves, that aren't just like objects for your world, that are agents and causes in the world in their own right. And at some level, I feel it almost is like it's one of her most Klingon moments. It's like her version of Worf and telling Alexander, "Look on this," when Kalar is dead, right, on the Enterprise. So yeah, I mean, to me, there's something really poetic about it, even though it's just like the whole time you're just like, oh, this feels so wrong on an emotional level.
Like, I know he's just a kind of inexperienced hologram in a way, but what do you think a Klingon, even a half Klingon, thinks a real family life is? Is it like, is that the person you want programming that algorithm for you necessarily? I don't know.
Well, and
like they're going to have a more
man.
They're going to program a more likelihood for that sort of thing, violence and conflict, and you'd think, I don't know.
Possibly. I mean, there's this great story about Jean-Paul Sartre from the Second World War that he tells about a young man who comes to see him, who'd been a student in one of his classes. And he says, like, I want to go join the resistance, but every time I start talking anywhere close to this topic, my mother says she would expire if she ever lost me, so I just don't know what to do. And Sartre looks up at him, and of course you can imagine, like, with his big goggle glasses over his cup of coffee and with his cigarette or whatever, looking up at him and going, like, what'd you come to me for? And the kid sort of, like, agape, says, well, I want advice. He's like, look, kid, you came to an existentialist for advice. I tell you, choose. Just jump. You're jumping either way. Just choose. If you'd wanted an answer of a different kind, you'd have gone to a priest, or you'd have gone to a professor of a different order of ethics or something else. But you came to me. You wanted to hear that it's your choice and yours alone. And so the kid sort of leaves dejected. And I think he did later become
what are my real
revolutionary.
odds?
Right? Exactly, right? If you'd wanted to know that, you go to a statistician or a military analyst or something, right? So in a certain sense, yeah, the Doctor chose his doom in a way by asking B'Elanna to be his helper here. Although there may have been fairly limited resources for that help aboard Voyager.
What do you think, Adam?
So, first of all, I love the concept of a holodeck, or sorry, hologram, whatever. Vic Fontaine, for instance, or the Doctor on Voyager, or Moriarty struggling with mortality and existence. And I think that when you carry on sort of, and my favorite Android type, and Data, of course, because it's the same to me. It's all the same, whether you're living in the holodeck or you're living in the medical area or Data living in Starfleet, but not a man. But it comes back to the Blade Runner, with everything that I've experienced is lost when I die. It just is, and it happens with us, and it happens with them too. And I love the fact that whether B'Elanna did it or anybody did it, the fact that they would again give, because she could have given him the happiest life, like in this world, right? Creating the family that never experienced loss. And honestly, he's aware, he knows what he is, and he can't go any further, right? He's limited. Same with Data, same with Moriarty, same with everybody. But when it happens, when it's over, it's over. And this preoccupation with my existence after things are done, I love that they carried this into Star Trek. And so if they hadn't done this, Davin, to the point, it just would. I think it would have been a more two-dimensional storyline rather than what real life is.
Yeah. Sorry, can I just say, like, that bell tolling or the clock tolling the hour there, just as you were saying that? Woo! Yeah, that just gave me shivers.
Are you one of you at church?
No, it's a clock.
No,
the time's wrong. My great grandfather's clock, and we got it going, and I like it. I just got to get the timer.
Well, it was perfect for right there.
Yeah.
Exactly. When it's over, clock chimes. Ooh, that was awesome.
So yeah, I mean, to tackle the question kind of directly, I mean, I don't think B'Elanna can particularly help her Klingon biases if they were existent in the whole process. Because she's a good engineer. Like she was probably pretty algorithmic by the whole thing, but if she didn't do it, like it's like you said, he would have just lived on in the show with this kind of hollow, you could say hollow in the other way, family, where he's not really experiencing what the rest of the crew would consider a real family. And would he just be as his friend? Is she like stopping him from wasting his time in that way as well? Like, you know what I mean? Like just because she thinks it's silly the way he's doing it.
In a certain sense, it takes the principle of holography seriously, right? Because the word holograph or holograph is two words, right? The Greek holon and graphe, right? Graphe is to write. Holon is entire or whole, right? Mm-hmm. So that's because in a holograph, the whole image will show up in any way you cut up the hologram, right? Like this image is stored entirely in every part of it. And in some ways, if you're going to make a hologram of a family in that way, or a holographic family has to have the whole problem of family in it entire, Yeah.
I think we agree.
It's a bit inchoate, but that just occurred to me.
It seems like we agree she did the right thing. Like what she did was basically what she was asked to do, and even by her own.
Yeah, and as long if we can define that as the right thing, then sure.
But,
yeah.
Well,
ethically, there may be no right thing to do there.
Yeah,
there may be just to the right thing is just to do what he's asked because he's asked you to do that.
Yeah. What do you think, Adam? Do you agree with that sentiment?
I do. I think it was the right thing, like the right thing to do. Whether, look, to experience it, you have to experience the loss. So
it's like life itself, it's messy. And she was, and she knew that going in. She's just like, I'm making something messy for you here, man. Like, I'm sure she didn't know it was going to get that bad, but that's just sad.
And then the other part of me goes, this is a guy who, I love this character through Voyager. I think he's one of my favorite characters.
But it's fantastic.
But the evolution of this guy, yes, has been amazing because he could have been just a very boring character through the whole show, and maybe there for comic relief, but they made it deep, and they made him care, and he was great, and he was the perfect actor for that role.
Well, apparently that's why he took the role. He thought that same thing. He thought he was just going to be a kind of a comic relief character, and then he talked to, I think it was Brent Spiner. He's just like, no, when you play the robot, you get to do all the heavy sort of acting,
self-awareness, of finding yourself. It's a real actually that's a great point because you look at how far Data went in his character over the 7 years versus everybody else. I mean, everybody went far, but he went the furthest picture and probably the best role, best acting. If you think about some of the stuff he did over the years, and I would agree with Robert Picardo as well. He did a great job.
Yeah.
All right. Well, should we fire another probe?
Let's do it.
We should destroy the probe.
Okay, let's try again. Worf's always trying to. He doesn't like all these words.
Our probe attrition rates are high because of that Klingon. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's true. Well, yeah, they're not cheap. All right, so this one is yours, Dave.
Tuvok's undercover assignment should have been an ongoing point of tension with the Maquis crew members. I'm a big fan of The Wire and programs like that where this question of sort of shifting loyalties and where somebody's going to land are always in play. And that certainly characterized a big segment of the first couple of seasons of Voyager, particularly the first season, as I recall. But yeah, Tuvok was always relatively unproblematic after he revealed himself to be a Starfleet undercover agent, right? There just didn't seem to be a huge amount of lasting conflict between he and the Maquis crew members, and that would have been a really fascinating aspect of who he was to explore, because he's this Vulcan that's capable of such tremendous duplicity,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, you're right about that. I mean, if anything, it seems like their takeaway of, well, most of them, there were a couple episodes where there was that tension where they showed him and Chakotay really don't get along, and when he was training those young Maquis cadets, running them through their paces, I mean, they more just didn't like him because he was Tuvok more so than Starfleet. Except for that one kid.
Jerk.
Yeah, well, yeah. 3 more laps around the cargo bay.
Oh my god! So, yeah. Oh man, that's a pretty funny episode, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great episode.
But there's some laughs there. There's some other things you can get, but yeah, they didn't.
No, but yeah, my other point was going to be his takeaway of the Maquis crew members was more that they were probably not very trustworthy, because that's why he created that whole simulation that we'll talk about in the next question, just to train for that maybe likely scenario in his mind. until he decided to put it away. Like there's a nice moment in that episode where he's just like, I deleted that scenario because I didn't think it was realistic anymore. But and their takeaway of him was that even though he was like a mole, that was his job. Like their takeaway of him, the Maquis crew members, was that he was probably honorable and not lying. And like
right, which is I find fascinating. Right, like has anybody in an organization ever discovered a mole? Like, oh yeah, that guy's probably a good dude.
Well, a lot of them were Starfleet, right? So they could have been that guy that was sent in to.
Yeah.
It did.
That's true. Maybe they were just working on him the whole time, eh?
But this is interesting because it does relate to the next question. But when you think about the whole Seska and company mission or submission, really to take over, and but they just like it seems like Tuvok was just forgotten. Okay, we're going to be part of the crew, and it's over. And I think this is where it comes back. It was a little too tidy, honestly.
I think so too. Like certainly, like the first season should have been just rife with that sort of thing.
Oh,
I mean,
mistrust.
There was a bit,
Yeah.
but,
Like I would have probably enjoyed more of like looking to Chakotay for direction rather than Janeway and just accepting. But it just fell into line a little fast. Maybe it didn't, but looking back and having done a couple of rewatches on it, it seems like it did.
So it almost feels like we're arguing that like if Voyager had premiered in the era of like New Trek,
well, post
it
9/11,
would have been an absolutely like gong show crazy piece of Star Trek. Like can you imagine like in the era where sort of Discovery is premiering?
I think anything
and other people, it would be, yeah.
I think anything post 9/11 is when TV really changed. You know, when you look at Battlestar Galactica, for instance, that was really, really dark compared to this. But
that's true.
Yeah,
great too.
but is the whole thing just
a fair point.
And the other question too is the other question here I have is it just because he's a Vulcan and what's the point of arguing? What's the point of the mistrust? Because he's just going to be, yes, I did this, and that's it. There's nothing more to say.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Davin.
Well, I was just going to say, and if they were to just walk up to him and ask him, it's like, hey, are you like any further threat to me? He would tell you. Even if it's yes, he'd be like, yes, I kind of hope to restrict you in this way and like that way. Like, he would just tell them.
That's true.
Like, what's the point of sitting around and wondering what Tuvok's going to do? Like, just ask him.
That's right. And if he doesn't want to tell you, if you ask him, like, what is your opinion? He's like, I'm not going to tell you that because
Crewman shell.
Tactically,
I think you are. Yeah,
it's like the whole idea of a Vulcan who's in this role of trying to, embed themselves in the enemy is almost like foreign. It can't happen because. Anyway, but I guess it can.
It is weird to send a Vulcan into that situation.
Yeah. But in that sense, I suppose making him the tactical officer and the security officer in that sense is also a very different role. Just picking up on a comment that went by on the screen that he was very, the first full Vulcan main character and other things, but he's not just in a science role, He's not sort of a copy of Spock or something like that. He's a different creature again.
Well, that's a great point. And when you think about like post Spock, there was very little Vulcans on Next Gen.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see them that often. And then when we did, it was Spock again and Dad. And then we had Deep Space Nine, but I guess early on we didn't see a lot. And now this. So this is the first real other Vulcan that we've seen, right? Because Enterprise hadn't been out yet. Yeah, so we're this is the first delve into this again. So this is very different than Spock as well.
And he's awesome.
Yeah.
Tuvok's my favorite character on the show. He's my favorite Vulcan character. I love Tuvok.
Well, and we also had seen like the side of sort of racist, supremacist Vulcans in DS9 and
Enterprise.
All sorts of different sides, right? And so this character as a complex but highly moral guy. Maybe that's the real story they're trying to tell, that people would say, okay, fine. Like, we basically knew Tuvok. He had just allowed us to come to conclusions about him which were incorrect for the purposes of his investigation, you know?
It's logical for him to do based on his mission.
Right? I can't even stay mad at the friggin' Vulcan.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does seem like they could have heated that up a little more.
Yeah. Even just between Chakotay and Tuvok.
Yeah.
Make that kind of a bit more open.
Yeah.
But at the same time, guys, like, honestly, the whole Maquis thing, they don't have really a leg to stand on. They've abandoned Starfleet. They've gone.
True.
You know.
Well, particularly aboard this Starfleet craft, they're in a very, they're in an invidious position that way, you know.
Well,
absolutely.
That's a pretty good segue to the next question, I think. Well, where do we stand on this one here? Yeah, I guess we all think it probably should have maybe had a little more.
I think we're all saying like we would have liked to have seen more of it, but we may well understand why reasons they might not have.
But you know, I'm not saying I'm unhappy with what they did, because I mean I think they still had the underlying unhappiness of this crew and what they wanted to ultimately achieve. Because if they went back to the Alpha Quadrant, they'd go right back, you know, fighting with Bajor, and that'd be it.
Like, one of the strengths of this show for me is, like, of all the series, even my beloved Deep Space Nine, I might go so far as to say this cast feels like the most like a bunch of people that work together in their, like, they feel like kind of have that familiarity with each other and more organic relationships, I guess. But all right, let's
people
move on
living
to
in
this.
a sardine tin with each other.
Yeah. Fire a probe. Voyager would have gotten home faster if the mutiny had been a real thing. Adam, what's up with this one?
Listen, I think there was one objective here, ultimately, to get home. Hold on, clock's going again, Dave.
Jeez, have we been another hour already?
Is beautiful.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Every 15 minutes. See, I'm learning this. So, but my point being is that they have one objective, really, is to get home, right? And now the Starfleet part of the crew, including the captain, you know, they're like, you know, a squirrel, you know, we're here, might as well explore.
What's science over there?
Yeah,
that's true.
So
Borg.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they get distracted very easily, this crew.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a good point, but it's also like, is that not their strength as well? They make new discoveries.
Of course it is.
Speeds up their.
And you have a show to write too, but
it's true. But it's the closest comparison might be if we think the Maquis are very cutthroat people, and maybe they would be. I don't know. It'd be like the Equinox, or what was it called?
Look, if they have one objective, is
Captain Ransom.
Right. But they have one objective, is to get back and fight this war, and that's what. And honestly, the fact that everybody, it is like, they're how far from home? Like, how many years does it take to get back?
80,000 light years.
Yeah,
75 years from home, I think, wasn't it?
See, my whole thing is like, you might as well just accept it. Like, we don't know whether we're ever going to find another wormhole or whatever to get home quicker. Like, you're out there. First of all, you got to make sure you're safe. You got enough supplies, and you got a working crew. And that objective, those orders, in my opinion. Now, but if you had the mutiny going on, it needed to be shut down. Like, there's no question, because there's too much. Like, Janeway's the captain, and the story done. And by the way, I love Chakotay in this whole thing. I think he was great. But the idea that they would have got home faster, 100%. They wouldn't be distracted. They wouldn't have the Starfleet. They wouldn't have the Starfleet mentality to do this.
Here's why I disagree. I don't think Rudy Ransom was getting home faster than Voyager. Voyager caught up to him. So I don't think being cutthroat is necessarily the way to go. I also think if you're 75 years from home and you're just like, well, no, you just don't get distracted, you beeline. But when you're beelining over 75 years, so it's just like what? So you get home in 70 years instead of 75, where what your real best chances is looking for new discoveries and shortcuts. Like that's your only way to not be there forever. If you actually want to get home and see your family, you have to look for like crazy unknown ways to get places, which they know exist because it's how they got there in the first place. But so that's why I sort of disagree with that one. I don't think they would get home faster. I think, the Maquis would have got home in like 60 years, 70 years or something.
Well, I mean, ultimately, I suppose, because in one way we can argue, would they have beat 7 years?
Yeah.
But I think what we're really working with is sort of from the time of season sort of 1-ish, where we're really stuck with that 75, 70-year number. Is there a different plan that other crew members could have had, which would have gotten them home sooner?
Which they would have, if they would have proposed them to Janeway, and we would have gotten that episode. And I think the only person who really does that sort of thing is Seven. Like Seven's like one who will come up with an idea and be like, they're like, yeah, but like, no, that's crazy.
This is a better plan.
We have to go get the Omega particle. It's like, no, Seven, we don't need the Omega particle, but it's like an infinite power source. I know, but we don't need to go after the Omega particle. Yeah. So, I mean, you could argue, would 7 of 9 get them home faster? Probably.
So if 7 of 9 had let a mutiny,
yeah,
post her arrival on the show,
then I agree with this.
So let's define what the means in the mutiny.
Well, the mutiny the mutiny simulation that Tuvok created. Yeah, which was like an earlier season one.
Yeah, what season are we talking for that?
No, it's like it happens later, but it was an older scenario he developed. It was like a scenario he developed based on the way things were back in like season 1 or 2.
Right.
But it was like, I don't know, it was probably like a season 4 or 5 episode or something.
Okay.
I like that one. Because they're all, and then they all just start writing it. Like they write it like a soap opera, and it just gets kind of crazy. Yeah, it's a great episode. See, Voyager does humor really well. It might be the funniest one of all the shows, really.
But you can see why this sort of hostility would grow, especially for lower deckers, I think, and the crew, who just do the same. What are we doing this for? Like, nobody's ever going to see our research. Nobody's ever going to see, like, what are we, like, just let's get home.
Yeah, I can see it. If there wasn't some sort of magnificent strategy to maintain morale, like it could very easily become apparent that like a lot of us are doing busy work here.
But at the same time, maybe that's just the reason why you do this, because you got to give distractions. It can't be, if you're just going home, what's the challenge? What are you doing?
That's what I think is so smart about what Janeway does too, where she basically makes it as if they're on a new mission from Starfleet. She's just like, now we're a deep space exploratory vessel for Starfleet, and that's how we're going to operate. Yes, we're going to try to get home, but if we were sent here, this is what we would probably be doing, and we're going to do that, just in a certain direction. Yeah. So I think that's smart, because it's like it makes them feel a little more attached to Starfleet still. They're like,
well, and from the beginning, she insists that they have to be a Starfleet crew.
Yeah.
In the sense, like, they're going to have some shared set of operational values on which they're going to proceed. Even if on larger political questions that are 75,000 light years away, they still fundamentally disagree. Here, they're going to need some shared plan of action in order to get more. But you're right, like, it does mean that people have to accept that kind of Starfleet way of doing things, who have already rejected it at least once.
Yeah. But for a very specific reason, that it has nothing to do with their lives anymore.
That's true. And in some ways, for very Starfleet reasons, they're rejecting Starfleet.
Like, all their peeps get wiped out, and they don't even know for, like, forever. They, like, find out, like, once they start getting messages from Starfleet, and Vaughn's just, like, that's when she gets all, like, depressed and stuff.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, she's like, they're gone, all of them. They're dead. The Maquis, they're dead. They're all of them.
Just done.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah.
So, what is there a consensus that we can come to about this question?
I don't think they would have gotten home faster. I think it was the best way to go in all regards.
I've gone full circle here because I think that I did come in thinking they would have got home, but I think there has to be a purpose, and a 70-year-old purpose is too long for humans. They can't see that far in advance. So what happens then? You lose focus, you lose direction, you lose discipline.
Rudy Ransom.
And you're right about Janeway providing that. You know, we're here. If we were sent on a 7-year mission to explore and see new things, then we would be here anyway. Might as well take advantage.
My biggest problem with Voyager is it's the way it ended. It ended too rushed. For me, the most interesting part of Voyager is the 2 to 3 weeks after they got home. Like, I want to see all the nerds on the crew freaking out about, we just collected the most amount of information ever. Ta-da! I want to see that kind of stuff, and like all the debriefings and like reuniting with family and like didn't get.
Well, I would have liked to seen, honestly. I'm always fascinated by leadership and how the Admiralty would. Sure, go ahead.
Carry on, fellas. Be back in 1 second.
But how the Admiralty would have been treating Janeway, and she was probably just a boring old captain before, and now she's like, you just took a ship through amazing with no support, essentially no support.
Yeah. I mean, their voyage really is extraordinary. Even for current Starfleet terms, where sometimes ships will go off for 5 years and go do a thing, but that's with the Federation around.
Well,
they can
it's
go back
like
to the Federation
David,
within a few weeks.
It's very much like, to me, is like the old fashioned getting a boat and go across the world with nobody knowing where you're going or whether we're going to hear from you again, but there's no contact for years, and then you just show up.
Yeah, precisely, right. And having been, I don't know how many times any of you guys have been lost anywhere. I've been lost a couple of times. I got lost underground once. I've got lost other places before.
I was a hitchhiker for a time. I just didn't know where I was a lot of the time.
Right, fair enough. Right, like the sense of having a place you're going to, or a purpose to hold on to that moves you through and can orient you when you're confused or hello over there.
Dave.
Hello, Ursula. That can sustain a project beyond what I think Adam quite rightly points out is probably too long for your average human attention span, right? Like, we do things that, I was thinking medieval cathedrals took sometimes 200 years to build and generations of people, but they all were like, no, that thing over there, that one with the tower we still got to finish, that's our project, right? Like, you could look at it and say, like, that's what we do here. We're going to build this thing, or those kinds of projects, right? But for one of these, the purpose is necessarily either extremely proximate, like survival, stay alive, do that stuff, or it ends up going further and further and further into the abstract, like getting home. And then how do we make that real on a constant basis that can continue to like inspire and motivate? Whew.
Yeah.
It's
short story long. I don't want to be a Starfleet captain right now. Just for
I think that,
I don't think it's a good job.
Some way we could probably do another show just on, the leadership styles of Cisco, Picard, and her, and
we sort of did. We did a leadership episode of Locutors of Trek. So go back and check that out.
I'd love to talk about this further because
I think we had Jeff Aiken from the Starfleet Leadership Academy on for that one.
Because when you think of it, like, she had no direction, and she's got to keep a crew together she's got no support really because she's the captain.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a tough job.
Like
All
in
right,
some ways,
we'll
it's
do
no
a
wonder
special
that she
called
ends up in a
Probing
room for
the
like
Captains.
several weeks at one point, right? Just overwhelmed. Sorry, what did you say, Davin?
I said we'll do a special called Probing the Captains.
Yeah, we should. I think that'd be a good one.
Just fill it with the noises from that episode where they reattach Riker's arm.
Yeah,
Have Deanna
that's a great
as a-
sound effect, actually. I should get that. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. What should we get
Anyway,
out
it
of
was
here?
kind of like Archer. Yeah, I think Sam's comment there. It's kind of true because Archer.
Janeway was kind of like Archer. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sam's got some news to share, guys.
What's the news, Sam?
Dun, dun,
Are you
dun.
really an android? That would be exciting. I'd be excited
Oh.
for you. So we pulled Adam around and we all agreed on this one in the end. Is that right?
I think
I'm
we
with
did.
you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Well, check us out.
Hey, before you go,
Get your podcast. Yeah.
before you- coming back to the first question we talked about here. If you can bring up I don't know if you can, Davin, but I threw something in the private chat.
Yeah. Sure
I-
can.
I don't know
I
if you
can't bring it up on here. Oh, yeah, I can. You know what? I can. Just give me 1 second. Sam says he's going to be a programmer. He got into programming school. So he's going to make an android. That's even,
Nice.
I'm excited for you for that reason, too, young Samuel.
There you go, Sam.
Make us a data.
Indeed.
Don't make us a lore.
Or at
You
least
sure-
disassemble him after you make him.
Yeah, if it sucks. For sure. If it starts
Oh,
running
we're in a
around
new
naked,
age of
that's
robots
good
right
sign.
now, though. It's an
Don't wake up
exciting
state.
time to be a robot programmer, that's for sure.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yes, me as an environmentalist. Yeah. Anyway, twiddling my thumbs all the while. All right, let's see here if this works.
Dave, this is for you. Being the most spiritual and probably philosophical person on the channel here.
All right.
Is it gonna fit that way? Oh, it will if I go this way. Okay, hold on. Paste. All right, here we go.
Ships on fire off the shoulder over Orion. I watch sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhäuser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die. Ooh. Amen. And again, I say amen.
Indeed. Well, that's a good place to end it. I guess there's only one more thing to say.
End transmission.